This man helped a stranger for 3 minutes, and those 3 minutes turned his entire life upside down. In less than 24 hours, he went from a normal, hard-working American to the #1 suspect in a statewide investigation. By tonight, the FBI, the news, and the entire country would know his name, and he still has no idea how everything went wrong. This is the unbelievable story of how one good deed nearly destroyed Ethan Carter's entire life. Most stories begin with a choice. Some choices are small, some change everything. Ethan Carter didn't know it yet, but his moment had already passed. And the world around him was about to turn into a storm he could never have prepared for. This is Willow Creek, a place where people believed danger was something that happened somewhere else. A place where neighbors still borrowed sugar from each other, and where everybody felt they knew everybody. But they didn't know what was coming. And they definitely didn't know Ethan Carter. Ethan wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, he was just a regular American guy working long shifts at a warehouse, paying bills, and doing what he could to stay afloat. If you asked anyone, they'd say, Ethan's a good guy, he minds his business, he helps people, and that last part, helping people, was exactly what put him in danger. Because sometimes helping the wrong person is the most dangerous thing of all. It was early morning, cold, quiet. Ethan stopped at a small gas station on Highway 14, the kind of place truckers use at night and high schoolers stop at for snacks after football games. That's where he saw her. A young woman pacing beside an old blue sedan. Hood up, car dead. She looked exhausted, scared, unsure of what to do. Her name was Lena Brooks, though Ethan didn't know that yet. She said she needed gas. Her card wasn't working. Her phone battery was dead. Ethan didn't think twice. He helped her. 3 minutes. That's all. He filled her tank, bought her a bottle of water, gave her $20, just in case. She thanked him, got into the car, and drove away. End of story, or so Ethan thought. But this wasn't the end. This was the beginning. Less than 10 hours later, Willow Creek exploded with panic. Police sirens everywhere, neighbors watching from porches, local news vans flying down the streets. Something huge had happened. A well-known businessman, Mark Redding, one of the wealthiest men in town, had been found in his home under suspicious circumstances. No graphic details, just tension. And on his home security footage, a car was recorded leaving the area. A blue sedan, the same one Ethan had just helped that morning. That evening, there was a knock at Ethan's door. 2 officers, calm, polite, but serious. They asked Ethan about the woman. He explained everything, the gas station, the stalled car, the money. The officers thanked him and left. Ethan thought that was the end of it. But he was wrong. Because by morning, Ethan Carter went from helpful citizen to primary witness to potential accomplice, all in less than 12 hours. The next morning, Ethan stepped outside to grab his mail, only to feel eyes on him. A neighbor across the street froze. Another quietly whispered something to her husband. Someone else pulled out their phone and started recording him, subtly, but not subtle enough. Ethan didn't understand. He hadn't done anything wrong. But that didn't matter. Rumors didn't need proof. They just needed oxygen. And overnight, Ethan Carter's name had become a spark in a dry field. By noon, Willow Creek had fully turned into a storm. At the local diner, where gossip traveled faster than coffee refills, people whispered. Why was he helping her? Maybe he knows her. That's not normal behavior. One good man doesn't just hand strangers money. Someone claimed they saw Ethan acting strange. Someone else said he was seen in the area of the crime, even though he wasn't. The story had taken on a life of its own. This wasn't Ethan versus evidence. This was Ethan versus public opinion. And public opinion was already choosing sides. By 3 p.m., a national news segment aired. Mystery woman linked to businessman's case, last seen with local man. They didn't say Ethan's name, but they showed his street, his neighborhood, a blurred silhouette that clearly looked like him. His boss saw the report. His coworkers saw it. His family saw it. Everything was unraveling. That evening, Ethan heard another knock. But this time, the officers weren't calm. They weren't polite. They were serious, focused, purposeful. They asked Ethan to come to the station. Not under arrest, not handcuffed, but to clear a few things up. Ethan agreed. He wanted the truth out as much as anyone. But walking through those doors, he knew things would never be the same. Ethan sat across from 2 detectives. No windows, a single camera in the corner. A metal table between them. Detective Harris slid a photo across the table. It was the blue sedan. Same one from the gas station. Is this the car you saw? Yes, Ethan said. Did you know the woman? No, I just helped her. Why? Ethan hesitated, confused. Because she needed help. The detectives exchanged a look. And in that moment, Ethan realized the truth. They didn't believe him. Not fully. Maybe not at all. Detective Harris leaned forward. We ran the plates on that car. It's stolen. Ethan's heart dropped. Stolen? Do you still want to stick with your story? The detective asked. Ethan felt a chill crawl up his spine. He wasn't lying. He wasn't hiding anything. But suddenly, the simple act of being honest felt dangerous. Detective Ruiz placed another file on the table. This time, a printed report. The mysterious woman, Lena Brooks, wasn't just driving a stolen car. She was now officially missing. Vanished. And guess who the last confirmed person to interact with her was? Ethan Carter. The detectives pushed harder. Did she tell you where she was going? Did she ask you for anything else? Did she threaten you? Did you threaten her? Ethan's voice shook. No, I just helped her. But doubt was already settling on their faces. Facts didn't matter. Narrative did. And the narrative was forming fast. A missing woman. A stolen car. A wealthy man found under suspicious circumstances. And a stranger, Ethan, who just happened to appear in the middle of it all. It looked bad. Very bad. Even if Ethan didn't deserve it. After hours of questioning, the detectives finally let him go. He wasn't under arrest. But he wasn't innocent in their eyes either. He was in the middle, a dangerous place to be. When Ethan stepped outside, he saw something chilling. Reporters, cameras, microphones, people shouting questions at him. He tried to push through, but someone yelled, "Where did you hide her?" Another shouted, "Why won't you tell the truth?" Another, "Did she work with you?" Ethan escaped to his car. Hands trembling, mind racing. This was out of control. He drove home, but home didn't feel like home anymore. He felt watched, judged, targeted. Late that night, when Ethan's house was dark and silent, his phone rang, a number he didn't recognize. He stared at it for a moment. Then he answered. A soft voice whispered on the other end. "Ethan, don't trust them." He froze. It was her, Lena, the woman he helped. Her next words were even worse. "They're not telling you the truth, and neither is anyone else." Static crackled. Then the call ended. Just like that, Ethan sat there, heart racing. The woman the whole country was searching for had just called him, and nothing made sense anymore. Ethan sat in the dark, phone still in his hand, barely breathing. The voice he'd just heard, soft, shaky, afraid. It was Lena, the missing woman, the stranger he helped, the person the whole country believed he hurt. And somehow, she had his number. He didn't give it to her. He didn't write it down. He didn't even know her last name. So how did she find him? The silence in his living room felt heavy, like the air itself had questions. Ethan replayed the call in his mind. Don't trust them. Who? The police, the news, everyone. And what did she mean by, "They're not telling you the truth"? What truth? What was he missing? Every possibility scared him. He locked all the doors. Then checked them again, and again. Outside, he saw a car he didn't recognize parked across the street. No lights, no movement, just there, watching. Or maybe he was imagining things. Either way, Ethan didn't sleep that night. Not even for a minute. By sunrise, Willow Creek had changed. More news vans, more cameras, more whispers. At the grocery store, people stared at Ethan like he was a headline come to life. One man avoided him completely. A mother grabbed her child's hand and moved away. Someone took out their phone and recorded him openly. Ethan felt trapped, judged by a town he once trusted. He needed answers, and there was only one place to get them. The gas station, the last place he saw Lena. Ethan drove there, heart pounding. The station looked the same, but felt different. Cold, tense, wrong. The clerk, an older man named Ralph, saw Ethan walk in and stiffened immediately. "Morning," Ethan said. Ralph didn't answer. He just watched Ethan carefully, like he expected trouble. "I need to ask you something," Ethan said. "About the woman from yesterday. The one with the blue car." Ralph swallowed, eyes shifting away. "I don't want any part of this," he muttered. "What? Why?" "Because 2 officers came here last night asking the same questions. And they made it very clear this whole thing is bad news." Ethan stepped closer. "Do you remember her? Please. She needed help. Ralph glanced around nervously, then whispered, "She wasn't alone." Ethan froze. "What do you mean?" "There was a second person. A man. He came in before she did. Looked nervous. Bought a cheap hoodie and a pair of gloves. Left without saying a word." Ethan's heart began to race. Nobody mentioned a second person. Not the police. Not the news. "Why? Do you have footage?" Ethan asked. Ralph shook his head. "The detectives already took it." Ethan felt his stomach twist. Why take the footage and hide the second person? Something wasn't adding up. When Ethan walked out of the gas station, 2 reporters rushed toward him. "Ethan, is it true you were the last person to see the victim alive? Did you know Lena before this? Why is she calling your phone?" Ethan blocked his face and pushed through them. But the pressure was suffocating. Every step he took felt like walking deeper into a story he didn't write, but was somehow trapped inside. When Ethan returned home, there was a plain white envelope on his porch. No name, no address, just an envelope. His hands shook as he picked it up. Inside was a single item, a USB drive, and a note on a torn piece of paper. "If you want the truth, plug it in. But once you do, there's no turning back." Ethan's chest tightened. Was this Lena? Was someone warning him, setting him up, helping him? He didn't know, but he needed answers more than he needed safety. He took a deep breath, closed the door, and plugged the USB into his laptop. The drive contained one file. A video, unedited, timestamped the morning he met Lena. It was gas station footage. The very footage the police took. The video played, Lena beside her car, Ethan helping her, Ethan paying for her gas. And then, a man, tall, wearing a hoodie, face partially hidden. He watched Ethan and Lena from behind the pumps. Then followed Lena's car at a distance when she drove away. Ethan's heart stopped. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. Lena was being followed, and Ethan, unknowingly, got pulled into the same web. But the most chilling part, the man's hoodie had a symbol, a small logo, and Ethan recognized it. It was from a local construction company, one owned by Mark Redding, the same man who'd been found dead. Ethan replayed the footage, zoomed in on the symbol, his mind spinning. Why was an employee of Mark Redding following Lena? Why did the police hide him? Why accuse Ethan instead? He connected the dots slowly, painfully. Lena wasn't running, she was hiding, and Mark Redding, the powerful businessman the whole town loved, wasn't as innocent as he seemed. Something deeper was happening, something much bigger, and Ethan was now stuck in the middle of it. Ethan stared at the screen, shaking. He had 2 choices: turn the USB over to the police, and risk them burying it, or find Lena, and get the truth from the only person who knew everything. He made his choice. He grabbed his keys. If the police wouldn't tell the truth, he'd find it himself. Ethan drove out of Willow Creek with barely any idea where he was going. He only knew one thing. Lena was in danger, and someone with power, didn't want the truth to come out. The highway stretched out ahead of him, empty and quiet. Trees blurred past the windows. Radio static hummed through the speakers. But Ethan wasn't listening. He replayed the gas station footage in his mind again. The hooded man, the construction company logo, Mark Redding's company, a connection nobody was talking about, a connection the police ignored, or hid. Ethan gripped the steering wheel tighter. This isn't a coincidence, he whispered to himself. Somebody knew the truth, and he was going to find them. Ethan drove to Redding & Sons Construction, Mark Redding's company. The place was busy, workers moving equipment, forklifts beeping, trucks rolling in and out. He spotted a man at the front desk and walked inside. The receptionist, a woman in her 40s with sharp glasses, looked up immediately. "Can I help you?" Ethan tried to stay calm. "I'm looking for someone. He might be one of your employees." He described the hooded man from the footage. The woman's expression shifted, not surprised, but guarded. She typed something on her computer. Paused, then deleted what she typed. "I'm sorry," she said. "We don't have anyone matching that description." She didn't even check. Ethan knew she was hiding something. "Please," he said, "this is important. Someone's life might be in danger." The woman swallowed, then lowered her voice. "Sir, you shouldn't be here." He froze. "What does that mean?" She shook her head quickly, refusing to answer. Then she stood up, walked to a side door, and disappeared into an office. Moments later, a security guard approached Ethan. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Ethan stepped back. He wasn't getting anything here. But he didn't miss one detail. When the receptionist walked away, He glimpsed her computer screen. The hooded man was on it. He was one of them. Ethan left the building, frustrated and running out of options. As he walked back to his car, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Stop asking questions. A second message came instantly. Go home while you still can. Ethan felt a chill run through him. Someone was watching him, following him, maybe even inside the construction company. He deleted the messages immediately. But the fear stayed. Ethan sat inside his car, thinking hard. If the construction company was hiding something, and the police were avoiding the truth, then maybe someone outside Willow Creek knew more. He opened his laptop and searched the name. Lena Brooks. Most results were useless, except one. A small news article from 2 years ago. Headline: Local woman claims workplace harassment at Redding & Sons Construction, case dropped. Ethan's eyes widened. She worked there. She knew the company. She knew Mark Redding. She had a history with them. And she had accused someone inside the company of wrongdoing, before disappearing into the shadows. But the article didn't list details. Just one line stood out. Brooks was last seen leaving the courthouse after the case was dismissed. She stated she feared retaliation. Ethan whispered, "Oh my God, she was telling the truth." Ethan remembered something. His old friend, Jason Torres, used to work part-time delivering supplies to construction sites. Jason knew the workers, the gossip, the secrets. Ethan drove to Jason's house across town. He knocked on the door. Jason opened it slowly, eyes tired, jaw clenched. "Ethan, you shouldn't be here." Ethan stepped inside anyway. "You saw the news." Jason nodded, guilt flashing across his face. "Everybody did." "I need answers," Ethan said. "You delivered supplies to Redding & Sons. Do you know someone who drives a blue sedan?" Jason froze. It was subtle, a half-second pause, but Ethan saw it. "Why?" Jason asked carefully. "Because the police ignored him. And he was there the day I met Lena." Jason hesitated again, then spoke quietly. "His name is Caleb Mercer. He's been with the company for years. People say he's involved in things." "Involved how?" Ethan asked. Jason shook his head. "Dangerous things. Stuff nobody talks about. Stuff tied to Redding." Ethan felt a knot form in his chest. "What kind of stuff?" Jason looked at him, fear in his eyes. "You don't want to know, Ethan." But Ethan did. He needed to. "For real," Ethan said. "Please, help me." Jason finally sighed. "All right, but if anyone asks, you didn't hear this from me." Jason paced the room, thinking. "There were rumors," he said, "about a group inside the company. A few guys who did off-the-books jobs. The kind that aren't on payroll." Ethan frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means," Jason whispered, "Mark Redding wasn't just running a construction business. He was doing favors for powerful people. And Caleb Mercer was one of the guys who made those favors happen." Ethan's pulse quickened. Why would he be following Lena? Jason looked down. Because Lena filed a complaint. She wasn't supposed to. She knew too much. And when the case got dismissed, she didn't stay quiet like they expected. Ethan swallowed hard. "So they went after her." Jason nodded slowly. "And now, they're going after you." Jason grabbed Ethan's arm. "Listen to me. You need to back off. These people don't play fair. They don't care who gets hurt." "I can't," Ethan said. "Lena's in danger." Jason's eyes softened. "You're a good man, Ethan. But this isn't your fight. It became my fight the moment I helped her." Jason sighed deeply. "I'm telling you this because we're friends, but Ethan, if you keep digging, you won't just be the prime suspect." Ethan stared at him. "What will I be?" Jason's answer was quiet and terrifying. Next, before Ethan left, Jason scribbled something on a piece of paper. A name, and an address. "Caleb Mercer," Jason said. "That's where he lives. But Ethan, don't go there alone." Ethan folded the paper and slipped it into his pocket. "Thank you." Jason grabbed his shoulder one more time, voice trembling. "Whatever you do, don't trust anyone from that company. And don't trust the police. They're not working for you." Ethan nodded. He'd suspected it. Now he knew it. Ethan left Jason's house, the afternoon sun sinking low behind the trees. He looked at the address. Caleb Mercer lived just outside town, near the old industrial area, the same area where the construction company stored equipment. Ethan started the car. The engine rumbled. His heart raced. He wasn't prepared. He wasn't trained. He wasn't brave. But he was determined. He drove toward the address, toward the truth, and toward the most dangerous confrontation of his life. Because Caleb Mercer wasn't just a clue. He was the key, and Ethan was about to turn that key. Whether he was ready or not. The sun dipped low as Ethan drove toward the industrial district, an area Willow Creek rarely talked about, a place people passed but never visited. Old warehouses, rusting fences, abandoned lots, the quiet kind of empty that didn't feel peaceful, it felt watched. Ethan's GPS led him past a row of rundown metal buildings until it reached a narrow dirt road. Caleb Mercer lived at the end of it, or hid there. Ethan's pulse quickened, everything inside him screamed to turn back. But he kept driving. For Lena, for himself, for the truth. Caleb's house appeared slowly through the trees, a small, weather-beaten place with peeling paint and a sagging porch. A truck sat in the driveway. Dark blue, the same color as the sedan from the gas station footage. Ethan inhaled sharply. This was it. This was the man from the video. This was Lena's shadow, and Ethan was completely alone. He stepped out of the car, testing the ground beneath his feet, every sense alert. A dog barked distantly. Wind rustled the leaves. Somewhere, a door creaked. The house felt like it was holding its breath. Ethan walked toward the porch. He climbed the steps slowly, carefully, ready for anything. He knocked once. No answer. He knocked again, harder. Silence. Ethan placed his hand on the doorknob. It turned, unlocked. A chill slid down his spine. He pushed the door open. The interior was dim, curtains drawn, dust floating in the air. Quiet, unnaturally quiet. Ethan stepped inside, leaving the door open behind him. The living room was cluttered with tools, empty cups, and scattered papers. A jacket hung over a chair, the same dark hoodie from the footage. Ethan's stomach twisted. He moved carefully, examining tiny details. A map of the county with certain roads highlighted. A burner phone, an ID badge from Redding and Sons. A photo of Mark Redding shaking hands with state officials. Everything pointed to one conclusion. Caleb wasn't acting alone. He was working for someone. Someone with power. Someone who wanted Lena silenced. Ethan picked up the burner phone. It was dead, but next to it, a slip of paper with a single address. Old Mill Storage, Unit 27. Ethan whispered, "What is this?" A sudden noise snapped him out of his thoughts. Footsteps. Behind him, Ethan spun around. A man stood in the doorway. Tall, broad, eyes cold and sharp. Caleb Mercer, the man from the footage. He stared at Ethan without blinking. "What are you doing in my house?" Caleb asked, voice low and steady. Ethan swallowed, adrenaline surging through him. "I just want answers." Caleb didn't move. "You shouldn't be here." Ethan held his ground. "Where's Lena?" Caleb's jaw tightened. "Leave," he said. "Right now." "I'm not leaving without answers." Caleb stepped closer. "And I'm not giving you any." Ethan realized something terrifying. Caleb wasn't confused. He wasn't surprised. He expected this. And he wasn't scared of Ethan at all. Ethan backed up slightly. "Lena's in danger," he said. "And I know you were following her. I saw the footage. Why were you trailing her the day I helped her?" Caleb didn't blink. "You need to forget you ever met her." Ethan shook his head. "I can't." Caleb took another step forward. "Then you're putting yourself in the same danger she's in." Ethan's voice steadied. "Tell me where she is." Caleb exhaled slowly, as if debating whether to say more. "You're chasing something you don't understand," he said. "And if you keep going, people will start getting hurt." He wasn't threatening Ethan. He was warning him. That scared Ethan even more. "Why are they after her?" Ethan asked. Caleb's eyes flicked toward the scattered papers on his table, then back to Ethan. "Because she saw something she wasn't supposed to see." "What did she see?" Caleb lowered his voice. "Mark Redding wasn't the man everyone thinks he was. And now he's gone. The people he was involved with are tying up loose ends." Ethan's chest tightened. "And Lena is one of those loose ends." Caleb didn't answer, which was answer enough. Before Ethan could ask more, Caleb's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and his face changed. Urgency, fear, a first glimpse of vulnerability. He turned back to Ethan. "You need to go. Now." "Why?" "They know you're here." Ethan froze. "Who?" Caleb's voice sharpened. "Go." Ethan didn't argue. He rushed out the door, sprinting to his car. As he started the engine, he saw a black SUV turning onto the dirt road, fast. Too fast, coming straight toward the house. Caleb stepped onto the porch, looking resigned, almost defeated. Then he mouthed two words to Ethan. "Find her." Ethan hit the gas. His tires kicked up dirt. The SUV roared toward Caleb's home as Ethan escaped down the road. He didn't look back. He couldn't. Whoever was in that SUV, they weren't coming for Caleb. They were coming for anyone connected to the truth, including Ethan. When Ethan was far enough away, he pulled over to catch his breath. His hands shook, his mind raced, everything was falling apart, but he still had one thing. The slip of paper from Caleb's table. Old Mill Storage, Unit 27. If Lena was hiding, if Caleb was protecting something, if Redding's connections were covering up a secret, it all pointed to the same place. The storage unit. Ethan started the engine again. He knew the risks. He knew he was in over his head. He knew the SUV might come after him next. But he had no choice. He turned the car toward the old industrial mills. Toward Unit 27. Toward whatever truth waited for him inside. The sky turned dark as Ethan drove. Streetlights flickered. Shadows stretched across the pavement. The air felt heavier now, like the whole town was holding a secret too big to contain. Ethan whispered to himself, "Lena, please be okay." But deep down, he feared the truth he was chasing might be even worse than the lies he'd been told. Because every step he took revealed one terrible thing. This wasn't just about a missing woman, or a stolen car, or one dead businessman. This was a network, a system, a chain of powerful people hiding something massive. And Ethan was getting closer than anyone ever had. And the closer he got, the more danger he was in. Ethan finally reached the old mill storage complex. Rows of metal units stretched into the darkness. The wind howled between the buildings. A single flickering bulb lit the entrance. Unit 27 was halfway down the main row. Ethan stepped out of the car, heart pounding. Every instinct told him to turn back. But he kept going, step by step, breath by breath, toward the truth. He reached Unit 27, lifted his hand, and grabbed the lock. Ethan stepped inside, closed the door quietly, and leaned back against it. His clothes were wet from the storm. His mind felt heavier than his body. He had found Lena. He had heard her truth. He had seen her fear up close. But he hadn't saved her. Not yet, and the worst part, he didn't know if he ever would. Ethan paced slowly through the living room, every shadow feeling taller, every sound sharper. He kept replaying Lena's words in his head. "Someone in this town is covering it all up. Don't trust anyone. You were never supposed to be involved." He whispered to himself. Then why was I dragged into it? Just as Ethan walked toward his bedroom, he heard it. A soft click, not from a phone, not from the TV, not from the pipes, from his kitchen. A quiet, deliberate sound, like someone easing a window closed. Ethan froze. His pulse jumped. Every instinct in him screamed to run. But curiosity chained him in place. He reached for a lamp and tightened his grip on it. "Who's there?" he asked softly. No answer. He stepped forward. Another sound. A slow, careful footstep. Not his. Someone was inside. Ethan moved slowly toward the kitchen doorway, heart thundering in his ears. But before he reached it, a tall silhouette stepped out. A man dressed in dark clothing. Face partly covered. Calm. Confident. Ethan's breath caught in his chest. The intruder didn't move, didn't rush, didn't panic. He simply raised a hand and placed something on the floor. A small object. A phone. Not Ethan's. Then he spoke, his voice low and steady. "You're asking the wrong questions." Ethan's grip tightened on the lamp. "What do you want from me?" he asked. The man tilted his head slightly. "It's what they want." "Who?" Ethan demanded. But the man didn't answer. He simply said one sentence that chilled Ethan to the bone. "You're already in deeper than she ever was." The intruder stepped back, as if preparing to leave. Ethan took a step forward. "What do you know about Lena?" he asked. The man paused, then said, "Stop trying to save her. It won't matter." Ethan felt anger rising. "She's innocent." The intruder sighed lightly, almost regretfully. "Innocent people disappear every day." Ethan's stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" The man didn't reply. Instead, he nodded at the phone he'd placed on the floor. "Don't call anyone. Don't try to report anything. Just listen when it rings." Then he stepped toward the back door. But before leaving, he added, "And Ethan, don't make this harder than it already is." Then he walked out into the night. No threats, no weapons, just eerie certainty, like someone who knew exactly how the next few days would unfold. Ethan waited a full minute before picking up the phone. Old, burner style, scratched, no labels. It wasn't locked, just empty. Except for one single contact. Tomorrow. Ethan stared at the screen, mouth dry. A contact saved, not as a name, but as a date and time. Tomorrow. What would happen tomorrow? He placed the phone on the table with shaking hands. They were controlling the situation. setting the timeline, directing the narrative. Whoever they were, they had eyes on him. And they were confident enough to let him know it. Ethan tried calling Lena again, her number was still blocked. He tried calling Emily, no answer. He tried calling the police, but stopped himself before hitting dial. The intruder's warning echoed in his mind. Don't call anyone. Ethan wasn't sure if it was a threat, or a strange form of protection. Either way, he couldn't take the risk. Not yet. Ethan sat on his couch, staring at the burner phone. Then his eyes drifted to something else. The USB drive. The footage. The hidden man at the gas station. The company logo on the hoodie. Mark Redding's company. The same Mark who died under mysterious circumstances. The same man whose death was suddenly being tied to Lena. Ethan leaned forward. If Mark was involved in something illegal, if Lena discovered it, if someone wanted to silence everyone connected, then Ethan wasn't just caught in a misunderstanding. He was a loose end. A witness. A variable. A problem. And the people orchestrating all of this were too organized. Too calm. Too confident. To be acting alone. This wasn't one man. It wasn't even a small group. It was a network. Ethan's laptop suddenly chimed. A video call request. Private ID. No profile picture. He hesitated, then answered. The screen flickered, and there she was, Emily, her eyes wide, her breathing shaky, her face pale. Ethan, she whispered, you need to listen to me. Emily, where have you been? Ethan asked. What's going on? Emily looked over her shoulder nervously. I can't talk long. Ethan, someone came to my apartment last night. Ethan felt cold rush through him. Who? I don't know, she whispered. But Ethan, whatever this is, it's not about just Lena. Ethan leaned closer. What do you mean? Emily swallowed hard. It's bigger. Much bigger. And Ethan, I think they're watching both of us. Ethan's pulse pounded. Emily. But before he could finish, the call cut out. No warning. No glitch. Just an instant blackout. Ethan sat there, staring at the frozen screen. Emily was in danger. Lena was missing. Police were lying. A network was covering it up. And now someone broke into his home just to give him a phone set to ring tomorrow. Something huge was coming, and Ethan knew the only way he'd survive it was to get ahead of it. He picked up the burner phone. Tomorrow, he whispered. Fine, I'll be ready. But he wasn't ready, because what would happen tomorrow would change everything. Ethan woke up before sunrise. Not because he slept early. He didn't sleep at all. Every hour, he kept checking the burner phone, waiting for something. A call, a text, a signal. But the screen stayed black. The world outside looked normal. School buses rolled by, joggers moved down the street, neighbors took out their trash. But Ethan felt it in his bones. This day wasn't normal. This was tomorrow, the day the intruder warned him about. He showered, dressed, and sat at the kitchen table, staring at the phone like it was a bomb. Then, it vibrated. Once. A single buzz. Ethan's breath caught. The screen lit up. 11:45 a.m. Go to where it started. No sender. No instructions. Just that message. Ethan didn't need to guess. There was only one place it could mean. The gas station. The last place he saw Lena. The place with the missing footage. The place where everything spiraled. He grabbed his keys, locked his door, and drove. His hands were shaking the entire way. Ethan arrived at exactly 11:45 a.m. But he didn't get out of the car. He waited, watched, studied every vehicle that pulled in. A white truck, a minivan, two teenagers on bikes, a delivery van, nothing unusual, until a black sedan slowed down just enough to catch Ethan's eye. Tinted windows, government-style plates, the kind of car that didn't belong at a small-town station. It didn't pull into a pump. Didn't park. It simply rolled by, slow, observing, measuring. Ethan felt the hairs on his neck rise. Then the burner phone buzzed again. Inside, Ethan inhaled sharply, opened his car door, and walked toward the convenience store. Every step felt heavier than the last. Inside the store, everything looked normal. Ralph, the old cashier, stood behind the counter. His eyes widened when he saw Ethan walk in. Didn't expect to see you today, Ralph muttered quietly. I didn't have a choice, Ethan replied. Ralph swallowed hard. Then, without making it obvious, he slid a folded piece of paper across the counter toward Ethan. Just take your things and go, Ralph whispered. Ethan didn't understand. What is this? Ralph didn't look at him. Whatever's going on, he said under his breath. You're in danger, and I can't help you anymore. Ethan grabbed the paper and walked out quickly. Back in his car, he unfolded it. The note read, "Stop looking, they're watching you," and underneath that, a symbol, drawn in pen, a simple circle, with a small arrow inside. Ethan's stomach tightened. He'd seen that symbol before. On the hoodie of the man in the gas station footage. The man following Lena. The man tied to Mark Redding's company. This symbol wasn't random. It was a mark, a sign of belonging, a group, a network, something organized. Ethan started to turn the key in the ignition, but froze. There in the passenger seat sat a woman, middle-aged, sharp eyes, black blazer. He hadn't heard the door open, hadn't sensed her presence. She sat perfectly still, hands folded. "Don't panic," she said calmly. "We don't have a lot of time." Ethan's heart slammed in his chest. "Who are you?" he asked, voice trembling. "You can call me Marin," she said. "And I'm here because you're asking too many questions." Ethan stared at her. "So you're part of them?" She held up a hand. "I'm not on their side," she said. "But I'm not on yours either." Ethan's pulse raced. "Then why are you here?" She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "To keep you alive." Marin opened a slim folder and placed it on Ethan's lap. Inside were photographs, not graphic ones, but unsettling nonetheless. Lena talking to Mark Redding at a cafe. Lena entering a government building. Mark meeting with people whose faces were blurred out. A group of men wearing jackets with the same symbol, the circle with the arrow. "These photos weren't taken by police," Marin said. "They were taken by the people who want Lena gone." Ethan swallowed. "Why? What did she do?" Marin tapped one photo lightly. "She discovered something she wasn't supposed to." Ethan leaned forward. "What did she find?" Marin shut the folder abruptly. "I can't tell you. If I do, I become a target too." Ethan felt frustration rising. "Then why involve me? Why warn me? Why follow me? Why break into my house?" Marin stared at him. "You're not the target. You're the distraction." Ethan froze. "What? They want everyone focused on you," she said softly. "While they finish what they started with Lena." Marin handed him a small card. On it was a single instruction. "Do not meet with anyone alone." Ethan frowned. "What is this supposed to mean?" Marin turned to him, eyes serious. "You're going to get a call," she said. "Soon. Very soon. The burner phone." "Yes. When it rings," she continued, "you'll be told where to go. But you must not arrive by yourself." "Why?" "Because the moment you're alone with them." She paused. "The story ends the way they want it to." Ethan's chest tightened. "Who are they?" Marin gripped the door handle. "You'll know soon enough." She stepped out of the car. But before closing the door, she said, "And Ethan, do not trust anyone who calls themselves a friend. Not today." Then she was gone. The moment Marin disappeared around the corner, the burner phone rang. A single, piercing tone. Ethan stared at it. This was it. The moment everything shifted. He let it ring twice. 3 times. Then he answered. He raised the phone slowly to his ear. A robotic voice, altered, disguised, spoke. "Ethan, it's time." Ethan whispered. "Time for what?" The voice replied. "To learn what happened to Lena." Ethan's breath froze. "Where do I go?" he asked. The voice paused, then said, "Come alone." Ethan's heart dropped. Marin's warning echoed in his head. "Do not meet with anyone alone." He tightened his grip on the phone. The voice continued. "If you bring anyone, Lena disappears forever." Ethan felt his pulse pounding. "You have 1 hour," the voice said. "And Ethan." A long pause. "Don't be late." The line went dead. Ethan lowered the phone slowly. He had a single hour to make the most important choice of his life. Follow the instructions, and risk walking into a trap. Or ignore the instructions, and risk losing the only person who knew the truth. He sat in silence for a long moment. Then he whispered, "I'm not going alone." He grabbed the folder, the burner phone, and his keys. Whatever happened next, he wouldn't face it blind. Ethan sat in his car, staring at the burner phone and the folder Marin had given him. He had exactly 1 hour. 1 hour to meet the mysterious caller. 1 hour to find Lena. 1 hour to survive whatever awaited. He pulled out his phone and sent a quick text to Jason. "I might need help. Can you meet me at the old mill? ASAP. Bring nothing else." Jason's reply came instantly. "I'll be there in 15. Don't do anything stupid." Ethan exhaled slowly. He wasn't alone anymore. The drive was tense. The sky was overcast, shadows stretching across the road. Every turn Ethan took, he felt eyes on him, maybe the same ones who had followed Lena, maybe new ones entirely. He replayed the details in his mind. Gas station footage. Caleb Mercer and the hooded man. The circle and arrow symbol. Marin's warnings. Everything pointed to a network of people hiding the truth. And now, they were leading him straight into the unknown. Ethan parked a block away from the old industrial mill. Unit 27. The same unit Caleb had hinted at. He could see a faint light flickering inside the warehouse. Shadows moved behind the metal walls. Jason pulled up a few minutes later in his truck. "Let's do this carefully," Jason whispered. "We can't let anyone see us coming." Ethan nodded. They approached on foot, crouching behind old crates and rusted machinery. Inside the mill, silence reigned. Just the sound of dripping water. The faint hum of electricity somewhere deep inside. They crept forward, and Ethan noticed. The floor was covered with boxes and crates. Most were marked with the circle and arrow symbol. Some contained old files, some construction tools, and some unmarked black cases. Ethan's stomach tightened. The files could hold the truth about Lena, about Mark, about everyone involved. They reached a central office, a small room at the back of the warehouse. Ethan's heart jumped. The burner phone vibrated violently. He answered immediately. A robotic, distorted voice spoke. "Ethan, you are on the right path. Step inside. Lena is waiting." Jason glanced at him nervously. "Are we walking into a trap?" he asked. Ethan swallowed hard. "If this is the only lead, yes. But we don't have a choice." They pushed open the door slowly. Inside the room was a single light source, a hanging bulb flickering above a metal table. On the table was a laptop. And on the laptop, a video feed. It showed Lena. She was sitting, safe but visibly anxious, speaking directly to the camera. "Ethan," she said softly, "if you're seeing this, it means I'm still okay, for now." Ethan's eyes widened. "Lena," he whispered. "Shush," she said, "be careful. They're watching. They know you're coming." Jason whispered. "This is insane. How is she even alive?" Ethan ignored him, focused on the screen. On the table, beside the laptop, was another envelope. Ethan opened it carefully. Inside was a folded map. Unit 27, highlighted paths, and a single message scrawled in handwriting he recognized immediately. "Follow the lines. Don't stop. Watch the shadows. One wrong move and it's over." Ethan's pulse raced. It wasn't just a location guide, it was a warning. He looked at Jason. "We have to follow it. Now." Jason nodded silently. They moved cautiously, following the lines marked on the map. Every corner, every shadow seemed alive. Every creak of metal made Ethan flinch. Then, from the far end of the warehouse, a faint sound. A quiet hum, footsteps. Voices. Ethan froze. Jason whispered, "They know we're here." Ethan nodded. "Then we need to be faster." They pressed forward, staying low, scanning for anything out of place. In a corner of the warehouse, Ethan spotted it. Jackets with the circle and arrow symbol hung on a rack. A bulletin board displayed photos of Lena, Mark Redding, and several unknown men. Notes scrawled. Dates, locations, and tasks completed. Ethan realized, this wasn't just about Lena. This was bigger, much bigger. They were not just hiding secrets, they were controlling people, covering up events, and eliminating threats systematically. And Lena had stumbled right in the middle of it. The burner phone buzzed again. A text appeared. "Follow the line to the last light. No mistakes." Ethan's stomach knotted. He looked at Lena's feed. She nodded slightly, almost imperceptibly, as if she knew he was reading the message. Jason whispered, "Ethan, whatever's coming, it's huge." Ethan took a deep breath. "This ends today. One way or another, we find the truth." And with that, they followed the last line, into the unknown heart of the network. Ethan and Jason moved through the warehouse, carefully following the line marked on the map. Shadows stretched across crates and machinery. Every sound echoed in the empty space. Every movement seemed magnified. The line led them deeper into the building, to a section that looked abandoned, dust thick on the floor, cobwebs dangling from the ceiling. Jason whispered, tense, "This place feels wrong." Ethan didn't answer. He was focused on the line. Focused on Lena. Focused on the end. They reached a narrow corridor lined with rusted shelving. The light flickered at the end, a single bulb swaying slowly. It was the last light. Ethan's heart raced. Every instinct told him danger was near. Jason whispered, "If we make one wrong move, we could." "Don't," Ethan interrupted. "We move carefully, one step at a time." They edged forward, eyes scanning every corner. Near the end of the corridor, Ethan noticed something subtle. A scrap of fabric, a blue shade, matching the jacket Lena had been wearing. Footprints in the dust, leading toward the light. He whispered to Jason, "She's close." Jason nodded silently. Neither spoke again. Every sound mattered. As they approached the light, a whisper carried through the hallway. "Ethan." It was soft, barely audible, but unmistakable. Ethan froze. "Lena," he whispered. The whisper repeated, "Ethan, hurry." He felt urgency, a mix of relief and dread. They reached the room. It was small, bare, with a single hanging bulb above a metal table. Lena sat in the middle of the room. Safe, but anxious. Her eyes widened when she saw Ethan and Jason. Ethan ran forward. "Lena," he whispered, "are you okay?" She nodded, voice trembling. "For now, but we don't have much time." Jason stepped back, scanning the room. "The place is too quiet, too still," he muttered. Ethan ignored him, kneeling beside Lena. Lena grabbed Ethan's arm. "Listen," she said quickly. "They're everywhere, the people who killed Mark Redding, they have eyes on all of us. They knew you'd come. They planned it." Ethan's heart pounded. "Planned what?" She swallowed hard. "They planned to make sure I disappeared, permanently. And they're still trying." Jason looked alarmed. "How do we get out of here?" Lena shook her head. "I don't know, but there's something you need to see first." She handed Ethan a folder, thick and heavy. Inside were documents and photos. Ethan flipped through the papers. Emails between Mark Redding and high-level officials. Photos of secret meetings. Notes detailing money transfers and tasks to silence whistleblowers. Ethan's stomach turned. This is huge," he whispered. "This proves everything." Lena nodded. "And if this gets out, they'll come for all of us. They'll make sure no one survives to tell the story." Jason's eyes widened. "This is why they followed you. Why they came after me. Why your house was broken into." Ethan clenched his fists. "They underestimated us." Lena nodded. "But they're still dangerous. And we don't have much time." A sudden sound echoed from outside the room. Footsteps. Metal scraping. A faint but distinct click of a lock. Ethan's pulse jumped. "They're here," he whispered. "Get ready." Jason looked at him nervously. "What do we do?" Ethan's eyes scanned the documents. Then he looked at Lena. "We fight smart," he said. "We use what we know. And we don't panic." The footsteps grew louder. The shadows stretched into the doorway. The door creaked. A tall figure stepped inside. Hood up, face hidden. Ethan felt his chest tighten. Lena stepped back. Jason moved to block the path. The figure paused, then spoke in a distorted voice. "Ethan, you shouldn't be here." Ethan swallowed. "I'm not leaving without Lena." The figure chuckled softly. "You can't stop what's already in motion." Ethan's hands tightened on the folder. Jason whispered, "This is it. This is what they wanted." But Ethan shook his head. "No, not today." Ethan knew this was the moment everything would change. He had the documents. He had Lena. He had Jason. And he knew one thing. The network thought they controlled the story. They didn't. Ethan took a deep breath. "We move fast. We get proof. We expose them." Lena nodded. Jason readied himself. And together, they stepped forward. Toward the shadows. Toward the truth. Toward the final confrontation that would decide everything. Ethan, Lena, and Jason stood in the dimly lit warehouse room, the folder of documents heavy in Ethan's hands. The hooded figure paused in the doorway, silent. The flickering bulb cast long, intimidating shadows. Ethan's mind raced. They were cornered, but he couldn't let fear dictate their next move. He whispered to Jason, "Stay calm. We know more than they do." Jason nodded, though his hands were shaking. Lena gripped Ethan's arm tightly, her eyes wide but determined. The hooded figure finally spoke, voice distorted but deliberate. "You shouldn't have come here. Mark Redding made sure you'd never see the truth." Ethan took a step forward. "I already see the truth. And I'm not leaving without Lena." The figure laughed softly. "You think this is just about her? Or about Mark? It's bigger than all of you. And it's been in motion long before he died." Ethan froze, heart pounding. "What do you mean?" The figure pulled back the hood, revealing a face Ethan didn't expect, Marin. Marin's expression was calm but resolute. "I warned you not to trust anyone. Including me," she said. "But I also knew the only way you'd survive is if you thought you could trust me." Ethan's pulse quickened. "You were working with them?" he asked. Marin shook her head. "No, I used them. I was inside the network, but I never agreed with what they were doing. I was watching, waiting, hoping someone brave enough would come along." Lena blinked in disbelief. "So you guided us here?" Marin nodded. "Yes, the network underestimated you. And now, you have a chance to end this." Ethan opened the folder of documents. All of this proves their crimes. We expose them, and it ends. Marin stepped closer. But they'll know immediately if you try. You need to move smart. Fast. And carefully. Jason spoke up nervously. So what's the plan? Ethan laid it out quietly. We split. I draw them out, show them we know. Marin, you led Lena to safety. Jason, back us up. Then, we make this public. One wrong move, and it's over. Marin nodded, determined. This is the only way. Ethan stepped toward the door, holding the folder like a shield. You're done, he called out to the empty room. We know everything. Mark Redding's files, your operations, everything. A dozen figures emerged from the shadows, faces masked, the circle and arrow symbol on jackets. Ethan felt adrenaline surge. They underestimated us, he whispered to himself. The lead figure, the same who had warned him before, stepped forward. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Ethan held the folder higher. Try me. While the network was distracted by Ethan's challenge, Marin quickly guided Lena to a back exit. Go. Follow me, Marin whispered. They ran silently through a hidden passage Ethan had noticed earlier in the warehouse. Ethan's voice echoed. Lena, stay with her. Jason stayed by Ethan's side, ready to protect him. The group's numbers pressed in, but Ethan and Jason moved strategically, using shadows and obstacles to their advantage. One of the masked figures shouted. Stop them. Don't let them escape. Ethan realized the network hadn't prepared for someone to challenge them directly. For the first time, the intruders hesitated. Marin's insider knowledge had given them an edge. Ethan and Jason used that split-second hesitation to push deeper into the warehouse, drawing attention away from Lena and Marin. Ethan reached a high vantage point overlooking the warehouse floor. He pulled out his phone and began transmitting the documents and photos live, sending them to news outlets, social media, and allies Marin had prepared in advance. The network members froze. Stop him, one yelled, but it was too late. The evidence was already out. Mark Redding's secrets, the network's operations, and Lena's story were going public. Chaos erupted as the masked figures realized their cover was blown. Some fled, some hesitated, unsure where to turn. Ethan kept moving, holding the evidence high, determined to ensure nothing could be hidden. Jason covered his side, watching for anyone trying to attack. From the back, Marin appeared with Lena. They ran to the exit, finally breaking into the open air. Ethan exhaled deeply. They were alive. The network's control was crumbling. Outside, dawn was breaking. The first light reflected on the warehouse roof. Lena ran to Ethan and hugged him tightly. You did it, she whispered. You found me. Jason smiled, relieved but exhausted. We actually did it, he muttered. Marin stood back, watching the sunrise, satisfied but cautious. The network isn't gone, she said quietly. But this is the beginning of the end. Ethan looked at the rising sun. For the first time in weeks, he felt hope. They had survived. They had exposed the truth. And they had each other. Ethan, Lena, Jason, and Marin stood outside the old warehouse. The morning sun reflected off the metal roof, painting the ground in shades of gold and gray. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the tension begin to lift. They had survived the night. The network's operations were now exposed to the world. Lena hugged Ethan tightly. You were incredible, she whispered. You didn't give up on me. Ethan smiled softly. We did this together. Jason glanced around. Do you think they'll come back? Marin shook her head. For now, they're scrambling. They didn't expect anyone to challenge them so directly. It bought us time. By mid-morning, the documents and photos Ethan had transmitted were circulating online. News outlets covered the story. Mark Redding's illegal operations. The network of people working to silence whistleblowers. Lena's involvement and bravery. Ethan watched the updates on his phone, amazed. What had seemed impossible just hours ago was now public knowledge. People in the community were shocked. Authorities had no choice but to investigate. Lena stood beside Ethan, staring at the news feeds. I never imagined anyone would believe me, she said. But now, they have too. Ethan smiled reassuringly. You spoke the truth, and we made sure it could no longer be hidden. Lena's eyes filled with tears, not of fear, but relief. You saved me. No, Ethan corrected gently. We saved each other. Marin stepped back, keeping her distance. This isn't over, she said quietly. The network may still have pockets of influence. But the momentum is with us now. Use it wisely. Ethan nodded. Thank you, for everything. Marin gave a small, approving nod. Then she disappeared into the shadows, leaving the trio to face the new day. Ethan, Lena and Jason walked away from the warehouse together. The morning air was crisp. Birds chirped in the distance. The tension that had gripped them for weeks began to fade. Ethan thought about the past. The night he found Lena at the gas station. Caleb Mercer's warning. The intruder at his house. The network's reach and power. And yet, here they were. Alive, safe, victorious. As news spread, people in Willow Creek and beyond reacted. Citizens were outraged at the network's influence. Local authorities opened investigations. Whistleblowers felt encouraged to come forward. Ethan and Lena realized something important. Their courage had not only saved their own lives but had given others the chance to fight back. Days later, Ethan and Lena sat on a bench overlooking the town. The chaos of the past weeks still lingered, but the sun was shining. And for the first time, the future felt open. Lena turned to Ethan. "Do you think it's really over?" Ethan smiled. "Nothing like this is ever truly over. But we made a difference. And that's what matters." Jason joined them, laughing lightly. "Next time, can we just stick to normal adventures?" Ethan chuckled. "Normal adventures don't have near-death experiences, secret networks, or public scandals." Lena laughed too, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. As the trio sat in silence, Ethan's phone buzzed. It was a message from Marin. "Stay alert, stay safe, and never forget, the truth is powerful." Ethan smiled, typing back a simple reply. "We won't forget." The message was a reminder. Their story wasn't over, but they had won this battle. Ethan looked at Lena and Jason, then at the rising sun. "Not what you have matters," he said softly. "It's who you are. And together, we can face anything." Lena smiled. Jason nodded. And for the first time in weeks, they felt free. A town once controlled by shadows was now waking up to a new day. A day filled with hope, truth, and the courage of three people who refused to give up.